All right, so this is a suggestion via a channel member. The name of the video is Judge Joe Brown goes off on Bill Cosby allegations, exposes why he's innocent. Guys, when I first heard this stuff about Bill Cosby, I was absolutely shocked and appalled. I'm just going to be completely honest here. Shocked and appalled. My wife was like, oh, we're going to have to go ahead and separate the art from the artist on this context here because she loves The Cosby Show. I absolutely am raising my kids on The Cosby Show, if that makes any sense here. They watch it regularly, type of thing. I still partake in The Cosby Show and, things like that here, guys, right? Salvador Dali is another one of these individuals that absolutely should be separated because he did a lot of crazy things also. He absolutely, loved the Mustache Man, for example, but we still love his art. R. Kelly is another weirdo. Tim Allen did a lot of like trafficking of the narcotics and things like that, guys. There's just been a good amount of artists who have done all these terrible things, but their art still basically remains steady, guys, right? But either way, let's go ahead and jump into this immediately. Let's see where this takes us. Let's do it. Art of the dialogue.
Bill Cosby, do you feel like he got a fair shake or no?
No, he wasn't. I said from day one when they first got ready to charge him, I said they can't. Because what went on is this one woman sued him civilly, and he properly expressed the Fifth Amendment. I have a right to be free from self-incrimination. You cannot compel me to give evidence against myself. Well, in a civil case, you can. The defendant can be required to give evidence against himself, but in the criminal case, he cannot. So what wound up happening is the district attorney, the elected district attorney, the office holder, committed to office through a very detailed letter. It said, we have absolutely no intention of prosecuting Mr. Cosby. He said, we've thoroughly investigated this matter and we've found that there is no substance to it and the witnesses and the parties complaining are not reliable. So the civil judge said, okay, now since you have no Fifth Amendment liability, you have to give a deposition, where he never admitted committing any crime, but he did say they asked for drugs and I gave them the drugs they asked for, and sometimes we did have sexual activity, sometimes not, etc. That's not confessing to the crime, but that does state the action that might be interpreted as a criminal action. Well, okay, you got somebody running for DA, and this person swore up and down that they were going to prosecute Cosby and they were not going to be held to what the previous DA had done committing the office, so they turned right around and used the civil deposition as evidence for the crime. And I said, they're going to do this. They can't. That's Fifth Amendment. There's no way, no how. The office is bound. You cannot do that. And that's exactly what happened.
Okay.
On the appellate level, the state Supreme Court said the case is kicked. You can't convict him on that. That is too bad a violation of the Bill of Rights. The other thing is I talked to Dr. Cosby personally after he got out. He told me that he hadn't been in there a week when they approached him and said, if you'll just go along with this, we'll make sure you're out in a week or two. He said, no, well, I'm not going to confess to anything I did not do. Yeah, they wanted the drugs, but that wasn't anything wrong, with that. I didn't force them. They did what they wanted. And the woman in question, you got to look at her. She wasn't Miss Cutie Pie like she used to be. She looked like she'd been rolled hard and put away wet.
Jesus Christ. Listen, I love Judge Joe Brown, bro. I love the way he has the ability to articulate his point, let's say. And I also love the fact that he is as sharp as he has ever been. Okay. Generally, when you start to age, you start to kind of forget some of the things, life happens. Not Judge Joe Brown, bro. Like, listen, if Judge Joe Brown was going to be like a brand new member on, like, let's say The View, I would watch The View every single day, period, guys.
And it was obvious she was jump-starting her career with a bit of casting couch intent.
Right.
Like this thing on Valentine's Day, she called him up I think it
Moderately
was
normal back then, guys,
testimony
unfortunately.
16, 17 times on Valentine's Day. That's inconsistent with what was going on. The judge lost control of his courtroom. His significant other wanted this prosecution badly, and he was letting the jury look from the floor above the courtroom down as topless women were running around talking about do Cosby in. There was communication back and forth between the sequestered jury and outsiders. He let his courtroom get out of hand where fanatical women were giving demonstrations. And as I said several times before, when you looked at the list of the people or the pictures of the people that were involved with making the accusations, well, guess what? They had done that casting couch thing with great enthusiasm, and apparently their casting couch performance wasn't much better than their professional performance. And they don't look like they used to because old age has settled in. But,
Right?
you know, it's
Jesus,
just
bro.
preposterous. It was a thing where they wanted to prove a point. And they had another agenda. Now, part of that agenda, I'll give you an example of it. They want to make a new felony rape category. It's called rape by seduction. In other words, the way they say, you're supposed to call somebody up and say, hey, look, I'm kind of horny. You want to go out to have dinner this Friday, and if it's good, you know, we can get it on. Okay, fine. That's not how it works. But they want to make this a felony. If you say, hey, let's go out to dinner, you go out to dinner. It's a great night, good restaurant. The wine is cool. The conversation's great.
So the normal
Spring
stuff
or
in
fall, you decide to go
2025.
for a walk in the park and you hold hands and somebody says, your place or mine, and you get to
Okay.
somebody's place and kissing and hugging and petting and all of that. It gets hot, heavy,
Right.
and everybody gets all hot, wet, and bothered, and clothes come off, and you get it on. Is that
Right.
rape? Of course not. That's human nature. But
Oh yeah, it sounds like the the Saturday night in any major city.
they want to make it rape because what they say is
Yeah,
it's supposed to not happen because that's rape by seduction. If you
guys,
seduce somebody, that too is rape.
guys,
So you're
what?
supposed to carefully ask and say, do you want to have sex? And if
Okay,
somebody says, let's have sex, then you can proceed. You want to go further? Well, okay. And then you're supposed to ask before you penetrate again and then stop in the middle. Is it all right to continue? And then
okay, yeah. So this is just anti-man. That's the vibe I'm getting from this here. It makes all the sense in the world. I can't imagine why this would be a thing. And this is it's nothing more than that, guys. But you know what? Listen,
stop and
okay,
get a written statement. It's all right to finish, not quite literally, but just about that bad, which
right.
nobody would get laid and you wouldn't have any human beings
Look at our
floating
birth
around
rates
on the
already.
planet. That's not
Right.
how we work. But these clowns want to make that a new felony category of rape by seduction. I mean, you kind of wonder what kind of sad, pathetic life do they have? And I look at it kind of another way. What do
Jeez.
you see anytime you see a human? You see a successful screw.
Successful screw.
That's
Oh.
what it's
Oh.
all about.
Oh.
And
Yeah.
a successful screw, 9 months later, something pops out what got screwed. And then it grows up and it has a successful screw and something else pops out. And that's why we have all these people on this planet and why we didn't all die out in the last ice age. But these clowns want to disrupt that cycle and say somehow or another what humans have been doing for the whole time we've been here is somehow wrong. Now,
It's
it
too
just
much, bro.
doesn't work that way. So again, this is a deviation from human nature, and these people are crazy. It's like, hey,
Let me
man,
find out who's pushing this,
have
guys.
you ever had any, or are you playing 40-year-old virgin? And then you look at the stats. They're kind of depressing. Right now, for example, there are more virgins who are female 25, no, excuse me, there are more boy virgins
Yeah, I can
25 and
imagine.
under in America than there are girl virgins.
Oh no.
So there are more girls 25 and under who have had sexual experience than
Right.
boys.
Yeah, that's not even anything that I think any of us are surprised at. Specifically, if you know any of these youngsters, guys. Yeah, what an interesting time we are in. The two genders absolutely have the ultimate disdain, most likely from a lot of the things that he's basically pointing out here. And men are just like, yeah, we're just going to do something different. They're not going to mess with each other or anything like that, right? But they're just like, we're just not going to be bothered at all. Go ahead and live our lives, et cetera, et cetera. I'm married. I'm not in the game, guys, right? But yeah, this happens. This is what's happening with these youngsters. I've loved some younger cousins who are just like, bro, I need to get out of this country. It really is just the West, though, guys. Understand that this what he's talking about is really just it's just here.
That's kind of crazy. 35 and under, there are more girls who have left home and gone on their own than there are boys. Something's wrong with this. 2011, the Pentagon wrote all of these research papers, and they said, we can make you physically strong, but we can't make you mentally tough because you're not getting exposed to enough influence from real dads. 13 years ago, they said if you would put all ethnicities in the pot in America, 42% of the Americans 35 and under were born out of wedlock, and it's 82% for those who are 20 and younger. Where is this going? They noted that, and the facts are still consistent, only 28% of each year's high school graduates are boys. A lot of boys aren't graduating who should. Only 28% of the supposed graduates are boys. Only 32% of the college undergrads are boys. Only 36% of the college grad students are boys.
Guys, what do you think pushes men to want to do these things? Right. Like, so if you're running into a whole society currently at this time, where you're running into a lot of boys who have never had any type of, let's say, coitus, let's say, what do you expect from a society like that? Right. Men generally take these super dangerous jobs because of their family. Right. Men generally buy houses and go to college and go to school to get a woman to settle down with. Right. If we're in a time where the genders have absolute disdain for each other, what are you expecting from this? Like, this is the end of our society, guys. Like, the end of our society started in 1970. Okay, I would definitely say that. Right, that was the end of our society. That was back when, like, for the most part, that the the femmes, let's say specifically, that specific type of thing meant, for the most part, equality. You wanted to fight for everyone having the ability to do the same type of things. Cool. But then when the third wave started moving around, it became less of we want the same type of rights and things like that, and then more of give me more. I want to be a strong, independent, but yet still want a traditional man. Generally, traditional men do not want women like that. Right. So it's just an intriguing thing, guys. Right. And that's kind of where we are right now. So now what are you really expecting? Young men to continue to push to work in infrastructure, work in these super highly dangerous jobs for what purpose? They have no family. They have none. They have no family. And they're getting none. There's nothing that's helping them not want to basically end themselves at the rate that they actually are, guys. Right? But all right, let's see where this takes us.
And only 44% of the workforce are guys. And then for the last 50 years, we've had an official take your daughter to work week.
50 years. Let me guess, 1970?
But not one take your son to work week. So something's being done wrong to the boys that is keeping them from having mental toughness, which is impacting our defense posture. Now, that is some white papers that the Pentagon released 13 years ago. They can't take them back. They've been published.
Boys
They don't
can't be
want to
boys.
admit that these things got said, but that's what's going on. And meanwhile, the Chinese military, the People's Republic,
Yeah, getting stronger.
has the People's Army.
Mhm.
They've got a man up campaign.
Yep.
Russia won't
Toughen
let
up.
American citizens adopt their children anymore because they say, we don't want to turn rainbow. Now,
Jesus.
at
Jesus
least
Christ.
not encouraged to be this.
Right.
So where are we going with this whole thing? What is this agenda?
The fall
And
of
then,
America.
you know, we have this ideation, not where the guy, the young brother is, you know, a hero, not where the young brother is a businessman. He's a pimp. He's running hoes. He's doing robberies. He's selling drugs. He's burglarizing. He's killing. He's doing all kinds of destructive stuff. We're glorifying dysfunction. He
Absolutely, we
dresses
are.
like a garish clown so you can see him from 3 blocks away. He doesn't blend in. It's horrible. Now, I've represented some real live gangsters, and the best of them dress in suits and ties or sports coats, or they look like everybody else because they don't want to announce what they're doing.
Absolutely, they
And
don't.
then when I was practicing law, Lloyd Brown, they put a case on me. Well, man, it's 4 a.m. in the morning. You know you don't belong in that neighborhood. You and 3 of your homies are smoking dope in the car. You can smell it from 2 blocks away. You got your music blasting so you can hear it from 4 blocks away. One tail light's out and your registration's 2 months out of date. What the hell do you think's gonna happen? And all the neighbors are calling about the disturbance you're creating. No, they're not picking on you. See, don't get stuck on stupid. Start thinking wisely and think about where you're going with your life. That's what we need to do. We need to understand, young brother, it ain't about what you're trying to perpetrate, it's what you're really doing. Do you really have this job, or are you trying to act like you're something else? And are you trying to act like something else that's an asset to your community? Or are you cannibalizing your community? Do you
They're
look like a
definitely
parasite
cannibalizing.
that's living off of your community, not providing for your community? What the hell's wrong with you? Who are the grown men that set the image? You sit there.
Raised by single mothers. Right, like you're legitimately talking about the men that were raised by single mothers, and then there are some women who are like, "All these men are terrible." You're talking about the men that were raised by single mothers, bro. They have no real insight on what masculinity is and how to deal with potential outbursts of anger, let's say, or rage. They have no idea. All they know is emotions, the exact opposite of what they should actually know as a grown man. I'm gonna be honest here. Like you have a little bit of sprinkles of emotional intelligence, let's say, using their terminology at least, right? But you cannot just consistently dwell in nothing but emotion as a grown man, bro. You can't, right? I can only imagine, right? It takes a lot for a young man raised by a single mother to actually finally understand what actually being a man is, so he just doesn't, recreate the same scenario that he just came from, guys. Right? It's incredibly hard.
And you listen to some young folk talk to you and say, wait a minute, I think I know what your problem is. Say, when you looked at somebody that actually had a job, he was slightly dirty, and you looked down on him, and you looked at Slick, who is all glammed up, and he's got on a whole lot of this, that, and the other, a lot of bling, and he doesn't have a job, and he's living off your mama.
Yep.
And you want to be like somebody that's pimping your mama.
No one dresses better than a poor person.
You know you've been listening when he comes over and deals with your mama. You've been listening to your mama talk to somebody else. Hey, I noticed the first of the month you got paid. All this good loving you done give mama, you ain't coming over here. You better, I ain't giving all this away for free. And then they can hear what goes on through the thin walls.
Right.
So it's really crazy. And now we have a national agenda where this stuff is not only just heard through the thin walls,
it's promoted.
It's being pushed right out in the open.
Yeah.
Now, is that how you want your neighborhood to be? You want it like we go out here Yeah, I always carry in Memphis. So I'm out here, yea, though I walk through the alley in the shadow of death, I fear no evil because I can do my John Wick out here. Other people are like that, but it's a dangerous place.
Absolutely.
And it's inappropriate for the neighborhood to be dangerous, where when you're a grandparent and you got your kids over, you put them in the bathtub to sleep because you got this cast iron around the place, wrought iron. At least you get some armor for them.
Oh
So if a
my.
bullet comes through the wall, maybe they'll survive. This kind of thing is bad, where, you hit the news, they shot my baby down. They didn't need to gun him down. They could have just took him there. Why they need to put something up? And everybody else out there saying, good, they took him down. He's been making life hell around here. See,
Jesus. Listen.
here we go again.
Right. Wow. Listen, guys. Hold on. Yeah, Judge Joe Brown for president, guys. I'm telling you, like, I think that he absolutely is from a last of a dying breed, I'd say, guys. I mean, once Judge Joe Brown is gone, who's gonna be left, bro? Right? Who speaks like this? Right? And it's crazy because like this man is, I don't know how old he is, 80, 90, 100. I have no idea how old this man is. I'm just gonna be honest here. Okay. But the point is here is that why do I agree with this man? Like I agree with the majority of what he says here. Like I don't see any flaws in his statements. He's just like masculine, right? I mean, I appreciate it, bro. I appreciate it. Please, we need to like outcast an entire society of like in the United States of America. Like we should not be attempting to promote, push it. I would ban all of it, bro. Right? It should not exist, guys. All it's doing is making like hood culture specifically is what I'm referring to. Like it's just making everyone just like uneasy, bro. Right? Because we see it like the ones who do not adhere to it but may appear as if they belong there, let's say, these are some of the ones who are probably the loudest, but you don't hear them because it's drowned out by the sexy reds and the glorrillas, guys, right? It's drowned out by them. They win, right? Because apparently it's super appealing, and unfortunately that needs to be considered absolute filth. Like I mean, once we can kind of get to that point where we look at that and we're just like, ew. Like no other culture in America, specifically all of the, I think the Italians do, but like no other culture really, seriously, in America promotes nothing but that, to the point where the only real view, let's say, of their community is the most trash side of it. You get what I'm saying here? When I said earlier the Italians do, I'm referring to like mafia flicks and things like that, but that's it. Right, and that's absolute garbage, right? Because let's not take other people's lives. You get what I mean here, guys? But then, like in the hood culture, though, like it has completely taken over, right? Like on an international stage, let's say, of what people perceive of Black Americans. And he just basically defined it basically perfectly, guys. All right, I want to just completely outcast it. Let's just get rid of that nonsense, guys. Just a thought, right? You can come at me in the comments. It's fine. I'll read them. Either way, listen, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. If you guys are new here, please like and subscribe. I'll catch you guys later.